Rick Shiels is a PGA golf professional based in Manchester, UK. Since launching his YouTube channel in 2011, he has become one of the most recognized faces in golf broadcasting, reaching a global audience on a daily basis. In 2019, Rick became the world's most subscribed and most watched golf YouTube channel. And in the summer 2020, he became the first golf-focused channel to surpass 1 million subscribers. The continued growth, as well as unrivaled levels of interaction and engagement across his social platforms, are a testament to Rick's open, honest, and personable delivery, and make him one of the most influential figures in golf media.
So, across his social channels, Rick Shiels Media delivers over 250 million impressions every month throughout the most mature golf markets in the world, giving Rick a reach which is unmatched by traditional media titles. Amassing over 50 million viewers per month and over 150 million minutes of viewing time each month, Rick has become the world's most watched online golf personality. In addition to his YouTube following, Rick reaches over 2.5 million people across his Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. His engaged audience varies in age and is truly global in geography, which is the strongest presence in the most mature and affluent global markets. So thank you so much for joining us today and finding the time in what must be a hectic schedule. So now we'll get on to a few questions.
So what is it about golf that drew you into looking into making a career out of it?
Well, thank you for the introduction, girls, and I'm glad to be here and glad to talking to everybody. You missed TikTok off my portfolio of social media as well.
Yes, that too.
One day I'll get millions on there too. What got me into golf? Well, I started playing golf when I was about 11. My mum got me into golf. I used to play a lot of football, or I'm guessing you guys in Canada call it soccer, right?
Yeah.
Used to play a lot of football, a lot of soccer when I was growing up, and I decided to turn my hand to golf. At the age of about 16, I wanted golf to be my profession, my career, and I soon realised I wasn't good enough, which wasn't a bad thing for me because it meant that I still wanted to be involved in golf, but I started to look at different avenues that I could go down if I wasn't going to be competing with Tiger Woods at the best player in the world. Well, how could I still be involved in golf? And that's kind of where it branched me more into actually becoming much more passionate about coaching golf.
Right. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, that's kind of the same with me because I'm very interested in rowing, but I don't really know what I would have done with rowing. So possibly coaching, like you said. My question for you is coming from Canada where the weather can be really hot and sunny to freezing. Golf is generally only played from May to beginning of November. So how do you keep kind of motivated and on golf course during the cold, wet winter months in the UK?
Yes. Well, just having a brief chat to you before the interview started, it sounds like we have a lot less harsh winters than you do. Places don't particularly freeze, not really badly. It snows a tiny bit kind of around Christmas, but really not much at all. So I continue to try and play as much golf as I can by either going to driving ranges, or I've actually quite lucky enough to have a home simulator that I built at my house. So I use those facilities to be able to keep my interest going. With regard to video content, me making content that goes out to as many people in the world as possible, I try and film that now. I try and film that before it gets really bad weather and really cold, or I'm fairly lucky that I can jump on a flight and head to the Middle East, somewhere like Dubai or Abu Dhabi, where the weather's obviously always perfect and the golf courses are stunning. So I might do that through winter, one for my own escape from the cold, but also to make videos and to be able to still play on golf courses that are still absolutely pristine. That's something really important too.
Yeah, that's nice. Got to get that good weather break in the winter.
Yeah.
Correct. I feel sorry for you guys, like you mentioned before, where everything shuts down. Because I speak to some golf pros over in Canada, and they talk about from like November till April, it's they can't play golf. It's no go. The golf courses turn into ski resorts. Am I right? Some of them.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yep, we even start skiing soon, so it's gonna be great.
Sometimes I definitely wish I could just fly away from Canadian winter, but
yeah.
So my next question is, what is one rule of golf that you could change if you could?
One of the most stupid rules in golf is when you're out on the golf course, a lot of the time the golf course is maintained by the greenkeepers. And normally it's in pristine condition. It's cut correctly. It's lovely. And when you hit your golf shot down the middle of the fairway, you should be rewarded for that shot. However, sometimes if players ahead of you might have hit their shot from exactly the same spot, your ball ends up in their indentation in the grass. So what's called a divot. So it's not very nice. It's probably about the size of my phone, and it's basically like a mud patch that another player has done. For me, that's so unfairly kind of penal to punish a golfer for hitting a great shot when you're finishing somebody else's divot. So for me, the one rule that should change in golf, if you do end up in that situation, you should be able to move it free of penalty and get the reward that you kind of deserved, really. I can't really relate it to the sports that you girls play. You were talking about rowing and kayaking. I couldn't think of a way to be able to compare it to that. But it's a horrible situation in golf, and it's a dead simple rule that could so easily be changed like that.
Yeah, I don't even play golf, but I know that I would definitely get mad about that.
That sounds
So,
super frustrating.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's golf. The idea of golf is you play it from where it lies. So if you hit it in long rough, it's your fault. If you hit it in a bunker, that's your fault. But sometimes if you hit a good shot and it's gone where it's supposed to go, but you get punished, that's where I think it's unfair.
yeah, that sucks. All right, well, my next question is, why do you feel that kind of like a sport or healthy lifestyle is so important?
I just think it takes us away from life sometimes. Life is hard, life is challenging. It's challenging when you're at school. I go back to me being at school, and there's lots of emotions flying around and lots of friendships and enemies sometimes. And I feel like sport has that luxury to take you away from the realities of life sometimes. It takes you away from nagging parents. It takes you away from nagging teachers.
Yeah.
It takes you away from homework or assignments. It's a real release that not only is good for your physical health, keeps you fit and healthy, but it's great for your mind. It's great for your mental health. I think it's something that we've all realized a lot in the last couple of years with obviously COVID. The fact being able to go outside and enjoy your hobbies really gets you away from the mundane of life sometimes. So I think it's quite deep, if I'm honest. I could really almost go quite kind of spiritual with it, but I do honestly think it plays a huge part in our own personal developments and how it teaches us skills and gives us discipline. It makes us better people. I really do believe that.
Yeah, 100% agree with that too, because like even with me and rowing, like I'll just like put out all my anger and it just works. So it makes me more productive.
Exactly.
I agree. What would one piece of advice that you would give someone who's looking to be a professional athlete?
It's a great question. And I have to rewind myself back to the time when I was young and I was 11 or 12 and I wanted to be a professional athlete. And I wanted to be a tour player. I wanted to be the best of the best. The one advice that I'd probably give myself is someone's always working harder than you are. And I think if you went in with that mindset that you need to work harder than anybody else on the planet, if you want to be the best of the best of the best, you have to work harder than anybody else is willing to work in your sport, in your category, in your department. I hear stories about, professional golfers, really elite professional golfers, practicing in the middle of the night by turning the car lights on so it shines up the putting green, being able to be in the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning if you really want to train hard enough. It's training hard, but it's also training smart. If I was to give myself advice and give you guys listening and watching advice, it's if you're happy, if you're comfortable with the fact that somebody in the world is working harder than you are, then you're probably not going to make it. You need to feel that you are working the hardest in the world in your sport if you really, really want to make it. And that's been proven by professional athletes when you look back at their lives, like the Williams sisters or Tiger Woods or Lewis Hamilton, to name a few. They have worked harder than anyone else on the planet, and it's no surprise they've dominated their sports.
Yeah, for sure. Very smart. My question next is kind of how did your transition from being a golf pro to a social media personality come about?
I wanted to promote myself as a golf coach. So back in about 2012/2013, I was working at a driving range which had three other golf pros and me. And with it being a business, obviously, as a golf coach, you want to give great advice. You want to be able to help golfers. Absolutely, that's your main passion. But you also want to make money. You want to be busy. It's a career. It's a business. So for me, I wanted to expand my clientele to much further than the 10 miles around the facility that I coached at. And there was no real other way of doing that apart from social media. And I was always really passionate about social media. And again, this is way before your girls' time, but like I was like a really early adapter to like MySpace when it first came out. You heard of what MySpace or not?
No.
Yeah.
MySpace is really this is way before Facebook. And then, to be honest, Facebook probably feels old to you girls as well. But like when Facebook was out, and I was a really early adopter to that. When Twitter came out, I got onto that really quickly. I've always had the latest iPhones. I remember getting the very, very first iPhone when it first ever came out. So I've always been intrigued about technology, and I've always been intrigued about social media. And then what's really interesting, I actually came out of school with two main qualifications. I got an A star in drama, so theatrical arts. I'm not sure what you call it over there.
Drama.
Drama.
Yeah.
And then and also an A in physical education in PE. So weirdly, I've actually taken my two skill sets at school and turned them into a career. But I was always quite comfortable in front of camera. So setting up a camera and filming coaching videos and trying to help people online, I was always quite comfortable with it and quite enjoyed it. And then it started slowly and built up and built up. And I remember the very first phone call I got from a new client who was, I'd say Newcastle, but you're not going to know where Newcastle is in relation to Manchester, but a 3-hour drive away, which I know to Canada Canadians is probably not that much again, but in the UK it's quite a long way, 3 hours drive. He rang me up and said, "I've seen your videos online. Can I come down for a lesson?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course you can." And that kind of carried on, that snowballed and snowballed and snowballed. And then really it was only when YouTube became monetized as a monetized platform. Now you get those annoying adverts at the start of the video. That's where I make my money. So when that kind of kicked in, I was like, hold on, I could maybe take a day out of my teaching diary and just make more videos. And with that, that just kept tipping over time. I started to do less coaching, personal coaching, and started to increase the amount of videos I started to make to a tipping point now where I'm full time making videos. I don't actually coach in person anymore. So to answer your question, there was no moment where it just went boom. You're now a golf pro. You're now a YouTuber as such. It actually took me a long time to admit I was a YouTuber. I wasn't comfortable with it at first because in my heart, I'm a golf coach. I'm not a YouTuber. YouTubers like PewDiePie or Mr. Beast or whatever, like they're YouTubers. I'm not a YouTuber, but the definition of my work as someone who makes YouTube and makes money from YouTube, I'm a YouTuber. Like, so it never just happened. It was a very gradual process that I never ever set out to happen ever. But as soon as I identified it as an opportunity to make it a business, I jumped at it with both feet and ran with it really.
Yeah, I think that's really cool because like I know this may not be YouTube, but I have like people who I know who've like started TikTok, even though it's not meaningful things like you do, but it just like starts going if they get the views and it just goes from there. So it's cool.
Exactly. And there has to be a knack to it, just because you make YouTube videos doesn't mean you're going to become a YouTuber. You do have to develop your craft, a bit like sport. Like when I first did it, and I look back at my old videos now, I wasn't very good. I was okay, but I wasn't great. And over time, you get more confident. You understand the skills. And right now, I've made nearly 2,000 videos on my YouTube channel. I've kind of got it down to somewhat of a fine art. Still not perfect, but you develop all the time and learn from it, really.
Yeah, for sure.
So do you find that the demographics of your viewers are fairly consistent across your videos?
Yes. So I'll tell you my demographics. Let me bring up YouTube Studio. I'll hide the revenue tab, but I'll show you everything else. So for example, my audience right now, so compared to traditional media, I've got a very, very young audience when it comes to golf. So my biggest demographic age range is 25 to 34-year-olds. So that's a real sweet spot for me. Then after that, it goes to 18 to 24-year-olds. So nearly 50% of my audience is younger than 34, which is great because that shows the type of content that I make appeals to younger people, and that's who I want to appeal to. I want to, sometimes I feel old, but I still want to attract younger audiences. I can teach younger audiences a lot of things. And in regards to a geographical location, Canadian, you're my third top country. So it goes, and to be honest, this very much reflects golf community as a whole. So my highest demographic is the USA at 43%. Then it goes to the United Kingdom at 21%, and then Canada is in third position at 6.6%. And it goes down to literally, I'll show it, like literally every country you can ever think of is on that list, even down to some countries I've never even heard of. If they've got YouTube and they've got a device they can watch it on. So yeah, my demographic is pretty consistent. And even I make content for Facebook. I've got 1 million followers on Facebook, which is quite a new platform for making videos on there for me. That has a very similar demographic, same age range, same location. It's also, I think it's worth noting, again, this probably reflects the population of golfers. It's something I'm trying to work on. I've got 97% male audience. Only 3.3% of my audience is female. Something I need to work on. I need to get someone like who'd be popular, who'd bring me in more views as a female golfer.
Don't know if I can help you with that with my knowledge of golf, but
I'm thinking like social media star.
Is
there any social media star that would bring me in more feet? Would there be anybody that would maybe females would be more interested in watching? Like do you like Niall Horan or not really from One Direction?
That would be an interesting one to watch. I would definitely watch that.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. I'll speak to Niall. I'll try and get him on the channel. Maybe Harry Styles or someone.
Give him a quick phone call.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. All right. My next question for you is, how big is your team when you're kind of like filming a new segment, and do you do your own editing and like stuff like that?
No. So I've currently got 6 members of staff that work for me. I have 3 editors and videographers. I have a podcast producer. I have a social media coordinator. I actually have a PA as well, and I have the podcast producer hasn't started. Soon to be 7 people, and I've also got a PA as well, and a senior brand manager. So it's quite a big team really now, and because and I don't know if you watch. Have you heard of Marquez Brownlee? He's a tech reviewer on YouTube. He goes by the name of MKBHD. Might not have done. He put it really well. He put it really well recently. When I first started YouTube, I was like an octopus with 8 arms. And over time, I can't, first off, do the task of 8 people at all. I've only got 2 arms. And over time, you identify what your strongest arm is and what your weakest arm is. And over time, for example, one of my weakest arms is editing. I can edit, but I'm not very good at it. So I had to chop off the arm and give it to somebody else to do, because they're better at it. They're more skilled. It's even things like dealing with the brands or setting up commercial deals, like the paid deals that I do. I can't do that. So again, I've got to chop off an arm and give it to somebody else. So I never expected to be employing as many members of staff, but every time I have employed, the business has got bigger and grown more substantially. And it's meant that I'm doing less of the jobs, which is nice. So I can do more of the stuff that I enjoy, or spending time with my family. I've got 3 young children, or spending time with my wife. So it allows me to be a little bit more flexible, and have nice phone calls with you guys. Sometimes back in the day, I might not have had time to do this just because I'd have been editing a video and I'd have been like, stressing out. And where now it's all being done, it's all being edited, everything's nice and rosy. It's kind of, I suppose it's a bit like if you're a professional sports person, you'd hire a coach to train you. You'd hire trying to think of the word. I'm not a masseuse. What are they called? Can't think now. A psychologist or a fitness instructor or whatever it may be to help you perform at your best level. And that's a little bit like how the kind of business is right now, really.
Yeah, good that you have those people too, just to allow you to have time for other things in life.
Correct.
So how do you keep on coming up with new and interesting content? Or do you ever struggle with content or finding ideas for your content?
Yeah. Sometimes me and my team will sit down and we'll come up with loads of ideas. Like we'll literally have a whiteboard, and for whatever reason, ideas are flowing. Let's do this. Let's do that. Sometimes it just happens. Other times it's really hard. Other times I'm sat there going, "Are we done? Have we filmed everything? Is that it? Like, are we at the end game?" So it's really hard. What I've tried to do is work out where I come up with my best ideas. It's not really in isolation in a dark room. That's not kind of where I flourish. For me, I flourish when I'm maybe out on the golf course, or when I'm practicing on my own, or if I, go shopping. Like the other day, I was really struggling for ideas, and I just thought, you know what, I'm going to leave all technology at home, pretty much. And I just walked around my local city in Manchester, grabbed the bite to eat, had a haircut, watched a few, and suddenly I was thinking, no, I wasn't getting ideas from a haircut, but suddenly you start to kind of be creative and think about, oh yeah, that could work. Yeah, that could, yeah. And suddenly I walked away from that kind of walk on my own with 3 or 4 good ideas. So yeah, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's dead easy. But I still think there's many, many more ideas to be had. I've just not discovered every single one of them yet.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel that when I'm like doing videos for school or something, I'll be like, oh my God, that's so funny. And then I'll come back and be like, that's not funny at all. But
yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes I have unbelievable ideas, and then when you properly sit down, you go, oh, that's terrible. Like, why do they ever think that was a good idea? Or sometimes we'll go and shoot an idea, and it might not be very good, but suddenly we'll think about a new idea and go and shoot that instead. So you've got to be quite dynamic and diverse. But overall, a big whiteboard, loads of ideas, even if they don't all come into fruition, they inspire knock-on ideas.
yeah. All right. Well, my next question for you is kind of, what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who wants to like get into social media content production?
I'd probably go with 2 pieces of advice. Keep uploading, keep making content. I know it's hard, but you've got to be consistent. And number 2, try and be different. Try and do something that nobody else is doing.
Yeah. Okay.
And
Go ahead. Mike.
Okay, so online trolling is a big issue. Do you feel you deal with this a lot on your YouTube channel, or do you think that because golf is viewed as like such a civilized sport, do you think you like avoid it a lot?
No, everybody gets trolls. I absolutely hate it. I've become much better at managing my emotions when it comes to trolls. Um, you know, maybe a couple of years ago, sometimes you could just you might be having a bad day and things aren't going your way, and then suddenly you go and start reading through the comment section and you start picking up on negative comments. And it's so interesting how our minds work. We could read 100 lovely positive comments, but one or two negatives are the ones that we remember, and it's really frustrating. And over time, I used to sometimes take that negative thoughts home, and I wouldn't be right for the weekend when I'm spending time with my family. I'd be thinking about it. Sometimes it'd really affect me.
Yeah.
And I think going through that and realizing that me giving them attention, me giving them an ounce of my thought is what they want. Like that is what that's a win for them. A real win is if I respond. I've done that a few times in the past and I wish I hadn't. It never, ever, ever is good. It's never, ever positive. The only time I'll ever do it, give them a response, is if almost I kill them with kindness. So, if they've left a really nasty comment, sometimes I'll go, "Oh, thanks so much. I really appreciate your comment. I hope you have a lovely day."
Yep.
They hate that. They hate that. But sometimes you just can't reason with them. You can't argue with them. It's pointless. So, and I'm slightly worried for my daughters. I've got two daughters and a son. When they get older and they get on social media, I know how much of a problem it is, and I'm sure you experience.
Mary Fisher, please come down to reception for duty. Thank you.
I'm sure it's real problematic in schools with social media, but my advice for anybody worrying, they want a reaction out of you. Don't give them a reaction. If you have to, block them on social media, block people out of your life. But all they want is a reaction, and if you give it to them, they win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen like a lot of people on YouTube and just like social media platforms who are kind of like big in terms of it. And they've just learned to like ignore it all because it just kind of helps things better rather than like
Yeah.
cancel.
Definitely a
And-
super tough situation to be in.
Yeah, and sometimes if you read a negative one, you've just got to read back the positive ones, because often there's so many positive ones, and your brain is programmed to almost automatically forget them, and it's really frustrating. So sometimes I'll make sure that I reply to all the positive comments, but leave the negative one out, or delete the negative or block them. So just yeah, it's not nice.
Yeah. All right. And then our final question for you is kind of where or how do you see your career progressing?
I think there's quite a lot of room to expand and grow. One of the things that when I very first started making YouTube videos, I never knew what the limit of views or subscribers was ever going to be. For all I knew, there might have only been 10,000 subscribers out there. I had no idea. The fact that we're now getting close to 2 million subscribers really excites me, because I do believe the room for growth now is huge. More golfers are getting into the game of golf. There's actually still there. Still there, yeah. Sorry, it cut out for a sec. There's 65 million golfers in the world now, and I honestly believe that I make content that would engage, entertain, educate all 65 million of them.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that's the number. I'd love it to be, obviously, but that from a social media standpoint, certainly from YouTube, I do believe that maybe 10 million subscribers or 100 million views, a month could be achievable. With regards to other projects, I'd love to give back. I'd love to set things up for future development of young golfers, new golfers coming into the sport. Golf is somewhat of a challenging sport to get into when you first start. Like, what clubs do you buy? Where do you play? What do you wear? So I want to try and make that transition into golf easier. That's something I'm quite passionate about. I don't have the answers to that yet, so that's why I've kind of not pushed on it. But that'd be something I'd be really proud if I look back in my career. I'd be really proud of if I could, make that pathway much easier to get into golf. That's something I'm really excited for in the future.
Yeah, definitely good goal to have. I
Yeah.
like that.
Definitely.
All right, now we have some quick fire questions for you. So my first one is pizza or fish and chips?
Oh, that's a tough one. The thing is, I don't think you'd like my pizza choice, so I'm going to go fish and chips.
What's your pizza choice?
You have Domino's in US, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
In Canada, sorry. Have you got the new one that's the cheeseburger one?
No.
No.
It is unbelievable. It is unbelievable. Cheeseburger pizza. It's out of this world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but my other one, the one that I don't think is as popular, I do like ham and pineapple.
That's my favorite type of pizza. Just
Pineapple
Great.
does pizza.
It's so good.
It really splits an audience.
It does. So good.
Now, I'm a big fan of it, but I must admit, if you said to me now, you've got to eat a meal, I think I'd go fish and chips.
Okay. Instagram or Facebook?
Instagram. Just. Yeah, Instagram. I think the stories, the reels, the actual grid, there's a lot more that I like about Instagram than there is Facebook. But I do quite like Facebook from a business, you see. Like, Facebook for me brings in a revenue. That's why I like it. But Instagram is not. It's just kind of like a bit of whatever, social.
Sport or social media?
Sport.
Online or in-person shopping?
Ooh. Probably online.
Pie
Yeah.
or cake?
So that again,
Pie or cake?
when you say pie, do you mean like a meat and potato pie? Like, what pies do you have? What do you mean pie?
It's like a, how do I explain what?
Lemon meringue.
Like a lemon
or
meringue
pumpkin
or
pie.
pumpkin pie.
No way.
No.
Cake then every day. They must. I'm guessing you do have cheese pies and meat and potato pies, though, don't you?
Like
Versions of
kind
it.
of
Yeah,
like
sort of.
versions of that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're weird. We're weird.
Morning or night?
Well, weirdly, at the moment, I've always been a night owl, but for the last 2 weeks, I've actually been getting up at 5 a.m. every day.
Oh,
Very early.
Because I read a book. It's called the 5 a.m. Club, and apparently the first hour of the day is outrageously important. Now, 100%, I would not tell any of you watching this video to get up at 5 o'clock at all. It's horrible. And certainly when you're in your teenage years, you need as much sleep as possible. Like, do not do what I'm doing now. I'm older. I've had my sleep. But if someone said that to me when I was your age, I'd have been like, shut up, you old man. Like, sleep as much as you can when you're young. Like, yeah. You don't get it back.
definitely will not be doing that. Texting or talking?
Probably texting, or we use WhatsApp. I don't know if that's as popular over there.
Okay.
Driving or flying?
I like driving.
Christmas or Halloween?
Christmas every day. Halloween's not that big over here.
Yeah.
It's getting bigger. Like, I've
Mhm.
decorated my house for the first ever time this year, and it looks amazing with like these massive spider webs and stuff. It looks awesome. But I've never ever done it before. It's very much influenced by you guys. Like, we've never celebrated that much, but it's definitely becoming more kind of like Americanized, Canadianized. in the UK. It really is. I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with it just yet.
Yeah.
Invisibility or flying? Like-
Oh, I know, superpower. Um, invisibility.
All right. Well, those were our quick fire
Yeah.
questions.
So thank you so much for your time and answering all of those great questions. We really enjoyed learning about your story and your experiences with golf, as well as all of your success.
Yes, and it was truly very interesting to learn about your transition from being a golf pro into being such a successful person in social media. And we really appreciate you speaking with us today. So thank you so much.